Hey everybody, I'm CJ.
I'm Noah, how's it going?
And this is TV Pop Culture episode 50. Take two, because someone screwed up my camera. So, thank you for whoever did that, you know who you are. Anywho,
you're getting shanked tonight.
Oh, I wouldn't necessarily say that.
But
because then if the police saw this,
right.
this would make me look like I did something, which I would never do.
By shanked, we mean you're gonna get an earful.
Yes, that is exactly what we mean. Anyways, so it's hard to believe that just almost 2 years ago now, me and Cody started filming these episodes in my bedroom or in the basement or at his place or really wherever we could. No, that'd just be a little creepy.
Well, you said wherever you could, so...
I don't know how big the closets are in your house, but... yeah.
I could probably sleep in mine.
That is... wow, okay. So you see, if you're looking for someone who has money, clearly... if you can sleep in your closet...
well, after I move out the giant bin full of action figures and stuff.
Anywho, so before we start on news...
in the future, I plan to live in a shack.
Don't live in a shack. Trust me. One of my grandfathers, his family lived in a shack until they came over here.
Well, as long as it's heated and has satellite TV or at least Wi-Fi.
Okay. Anyway, so before we get into news, I have a few emails.
All right.
Our first one comes from John and asks, "Dear TV Pop Culture, why is it that your episodes seem to take so long to get up onto YouTube, and also, why do they appear up so randomly?" That is an excellent question, John.
Wow.
To be fair, our main editor, Chuck, has been by himself for
the better part of
almost a good year now as editor, and we now have a second editor. Who we will be training on how to use our editing software and all the other stuff that we have.
I wish I was being trained to be a ninja, but editor's okay, I guess.
Yeah. So he will be doing that, hopefully, and taking some of the workload off of Chuck. And also the fact of the matter is that, and don't get me wrong, Chuck. You know, we love you as a friend, but
that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, but your immune system. Wow, there are days where I'm amazed that you're still alive.
No human being should have an immune system that weak.
Yeah, no living human being should have an immune system that weak. So obviously there's something keeping you alive, and science needs to figure out what it is.
Or perhaps the universe or God or whatever people may think is up there has some sort of divine purpose for his existence.
Or the aliens.
I don't want to say it was aliens, but it was aliens.
I have no problem saying it was aliens.
Aliens did everything.
Our second email...
they just don't want to admit it because they're too humble.
...comes from Connor. Okay, his last name starts with A. Okay, so it's not the Connor I'm thinking of. And he writes, "Dear TV Pop Culture, I love your show and hope to see Nerd Culture Radio return to the airwaves someday. When do you think that'll be happening? If it will." Well, that's a very excellent question. It will be happening. It's just more of the fact that we have been having... a bitch. Yeah. But that's a simpler explanation. iTunes is being a wanker, and we haven't been able to upload to iTunes yet, or more or less the site we've been using to upload to iTunes will not let us upload yet.
Wait, don't you just use iTunes?
No, because iTunes does not want to take any responsibility if your stuff gets lost.
Or if it's too vulgar?
Well, actually, either way, they'd have to take responsibility on that, but that's why they have warning tags.
Right.
Yeah. So...
not safe for work. Nerd Culture Radio is.
Well, there is an explicit tag attached to it, so
You figure,
yeah.
that you shouldn't listen to it at work. At least
But
not
hey,
without
you know what?
headphones.
We're covering our ass.
Exactly.
So, it hopefully will be returning after New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I obviously can't say whether or not it will be for sure.
Because CJ might be hungover. If it's after New Year's Eve, I mean, come on.
No one needs to know that. Anyways, aside from that lovely bit of information that Noah just passed on to all of you,
It's what I'm here for.
You're not here to make me look bad.
No, but it's I consider it part of my job.
Anyways,
You know what? I can make myself look bad. I'm gonna openly admit that I write romantic fan fiction for the internet. I'm just putting that out there for everybody to listen to.
okay, as long as it's not yaoi.
No, God, no. That shit's messed up.
Yeah. Anyways, there will be
Yuri, on the other
another
hand,
show
just
taking place of Nerd Culture Radio, kind of to fill the void, called Nerd Culture Radio Viewer Discussion, where we encourage, and with all of our shows, we encourage our viewers to weigh in their comments and questions or even concerns that they may have with the
doesn't
show.
happen very often these days.
No, unfortunately, I've been seeing a lack of decline. So hopefully, this will help
Wait, did
get
you say
people
a lack
talking.
Of decline, like
Or lack of incline.
Okay.
So hopefully, we'll start to see those.
Think before you say each word.
I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep here, dude.
What time did you go to bed?
I was trying to get those videos up.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who to thank for that.
My computer.
Yeah.
Anyways,
New technology.
So hopefully, a couple days after New Year's Eve. I really can't say for sure or not. Our last email comes from Jessica, and she writes, "Dear TV Pop Culture, I happen to really enjoy Nerd Culture Radio.
Awesome.
However, I have to ask, why is it not on iTunes?" Thank you! Someone's agreeing with me. As far as I'm concerned, it should be put as an iTunes download only, and should remain as such. The episodes seem to be too long for people to sit and enjoy on YouTube unless they're doing housework. And even then, it's very uncomfortable trying to carry around an iPad or a laptop against your hip while you're vacuuming. Okay, thank you.
Well,
thank you for sending that email.
I'm sure.
Maybe now someone, and he knows who he is, will take my side on this.
It's democracy. Well, actually, it's more of a mutiny, but still.
But I'm the... Okay.
Well, I'm saying it's a mutiny
also,
in that
she
you're
asks,
overthrowing his ability to have a say.
Yeah. Also, she asks, which one of you is in charge? As for sometimes it seems rather confusing because Chuck seems to usually take the lead. Thank you for that.
Well, the dictator here is in charge.
I'm not a dictator. A dictator would imply that I have a goofy mustache and wear a red armband with a funny-looking cross, and I don't.
Well, I'm not saying he's Hitler.
Anyways, if technically
He's actually a nice boss, people.
Technically, me and Chuck are in charge. If you're asking who started it, that would be me. I guess those episodes haven't made it up onto YouTube quite yet. As of when we are recording this.
Which would be December 16th.
Yes, hopefully it'll be up by then. So, shall we get into news?
Let's do it.
Okay, so our first bit of news is that Doctor Who, the Aztecs, and the Ark in Space will both be getting a special edition on March 12th, 2013. The Aztecs is the William Hartnell episode,
way back in the day,
which Ian picks up an alien, actually tosses him off a pyramid.
Chuck went up for British sci-fi.
And the Ark in Space is, of course... Now, this is one of the ones that I haven't seen from Tom Baker's era. But it's I know it's one of the later episodes with Lila Ward.
Right, who was it was the second incarnation of
Romana.
Romana, right?
Yes.
I'm a little bit fuzzy on my old Doctor Who history.
Well, no one knows everything.
Yeah. Unless you have like no life.
The next bit of news is DC Nation will be returning. to Cartoon Network January 5th, 2013. But
But-
it's not going to be called DC Nation.
Wait, what? But wasn't that the whole point, to have like a block to compete with Marvel Universe on Disney XD?
Well, now I don't know what's going on with Marvel Universe, but what's going on with DC Nation is that now the shows are still going to be aired.
Oh.
I want you guys to know that the shows are still going to be aired. Don't freak out. Don't panic. They're still going to keep going.
You're not going to lose your Young Justice or Green Lantern.
Yeah. It's just that those shows are going to become a part of the main DC, or the main Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Again, I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, people. And
Yeah, Cartoon
a
Network.
new episode of Young Justice and the Green Lantern cartoon will be airing Saturday, January 5th,
Mark your
2013
calendars.
at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Pacific Time.
You see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new episode of Young Justice will be entitled Before the Dawn.
Ooh.
On a covert mission to resume some of its own, the team, Blue Beetle and Miss Martian, uncover shocking secrets and devastating truths.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, so let's be as big as we possibly can. And now, without further ado...
Hold on. Just want to add this to the DC Cartoon Network thing. Teen Titans Go is coming in 2013 soon, which means we're going to see the Teen Titans come back.
Yeah, that sounds like an anime title, actually.
I know, and it kind of looks like an anime bit.
Okay, I haven't seen anything for it, so... You know what'd be nice? If they incorporated the artwork for those Annie figures.
Mm.
You guys can't see them, but they're like right on the wall over there.
And their
Side of-
breasts are magnificent. I'm just saying.
They're cartoons.
That doesn't stop me
They're
from
cartoons.
fantasizing about them.
No, they're cartoons. Just say it with me. They're cartoons.
Fuck you.
Okay. Anyways, so before we end the episode, me and Noah here have a special treat for you guys.
In celebration of episode 50,
We are going to be naming our top 10 most important moments in comics. This is what we feel are the most important top 10 moments.
this is
in the history
basically
of
the
comic
moments
books.
when the whole playing field just changed.
So, do you want to start with your number 5, or should I start?
You go ahead and start.
All right. My number 5 is Professor X leaves the X-Men. This made me really angry as a kid, and actually pissed me off
You
so
took it
much.
personally.
Yeah, that I stopped reading Marvel comics altogether.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you only
Because-
read like 1 or 2 titles anyway.
Well, yeah. The only titles I really read were X-Men and Thor. Occasionally, I might read Spider-Man,
Yeah.
but let's be honest. I mean, the '90s for Marvel wasn't that great.
Yeah. It was a turbulent
Oh,
time.
Saga. Anyways,
Image was kicking their ass.
We'll
get to that
everyone
later.
was kicking their ass. But yeah, like this really pissed me off because Charles Xavier is the only comic book character that shares the same first name as me, and he made me feel important. And when he left, it was like, well, fuck this shit, I'm done. Yeah. Of course, I'm not actually going to flip the table because my laptop's on it,
Yeah.
and we don't own it.
He would probably kill us.
No, he'd probably look at us and be like, what the hell did you do that for? And that'd probably be it.
Nerd rage? I thought
Yeah.
you'd understand this considering you run a comic book shop.
Marvel or... Anyways,
Basically,
so
every comic
you're
book
number
company-
5?
Well, it also has to do with the X-Men. It is the 1975 release of Giant X-Size X-Men #1.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah, back when,
Marvel actually mattered.
yeah, basically.
It matters now, but in the 90s, yeah, not really.
Yeah, right now it only matters in the movies. And that's the sad truth.
I'm kind of forced to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway, the original Jack Kirby Stan Lee X-Men title that debuted in 1963, it did good for a little while, but then it slowly started to fail, and the readers weren't latching onto it, so it got canceled. But then they had this brilliant idea. They brought in Chris Claremont, who is undoubtedly one of Marvel's best writers in the history of their company, and he made the X-Men what they are today, basically. I mean, he brought in the introduction of Wolverine to the team, Nightcrawler. I know you're happy about that.
Yeah.
Colossus,
One of my favorite
Storm,
X-Men.
and the short-lived Thunderbird.
Yeah. And the thing that a lot of people tend to forget is that X-Men was not very popular in its original run.
Yeah.
So
They kind of Chris Claremont kind of saved Marvel's ass with that.
personally, I put more of that on Nightcrawler, but
Well, Wolverine kind of.
Nightcrawler could take him.
Dude, Wolverine can heal himself.
All Nightcrawler would have to do is teleport him into space and then quickly teleport back before anything happens. Wolverine's fucked. Because he may be able to regenerate, but he needs air to breathe.
Well, his lungs just keep constantly regenerating.
Yeah. But even so, he'd be defeated.
Well, pretty much he'd just be floating around in space going...
Yeah.
For the rest of eternity.
Think about it. Nightcrawler is the ultimate X-Men.
Plus, he can spy on people in the shower. If he so chooses to.
Let's not get in on that.
I'm sure Nightcrawler's got some...
So, my number 4
yeah,
is New 52 and Marvel Now.
Oh boy.
I think both of these are completely irrelevant. And in all honesty, it was pretty close to being my number 5.
Yeah.
The only reason why it was not my number 5 is because it didn't really anger me. It was just
why?
there. It was just
Why?
there.
Why
Yeah,
do we
exactly.
need
Like
this?
there's okay. As
It's
big of
DC.
a DC fanboy as I am, I have to admit, to a certain extent,
It was needed.
yeah. Marvel, I'm sorry, you guys. It looks like you're just doing it for the sake of doing a reboot.
I think you guys are just worried that DC is taking away your sales.
Well, they were.
Yeah. So
I
you
mean,
just
for
decided.
the first
few months of the New 52.
yeah, there was like, I know Galaxy was selling out before they'd even reached the shelf.
Yeah. I couldn't see any New 52 comics there.
Oh yeah, especially first editions.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, the first edition Batman New 52 is still like $16.
I am glad that they didn't change the origin stories that much,
Yeah.
because I think if they had gone and changed a lot of the criteria within the origin stories, the fans would have backlashed at them.
The internet would break again.
Yeah, I know I definitely would have backlashed if they went and changed Jason Todd's origin story. And they did change it to a certain extent.
But they only changed
but
like
the
one
main,
detail.
yeah, the main basis was still there.
Yeah.
Plus
now he's got his own series, so it all works out.
And you know, it wasn't really as bad. It wasn't even all that much worse as when Red Hood and the Outlaws retconned how angry Jason was at Two-Face for killing his dad. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert for any of you who haven't read a comic that's like 30 years old.
I don't think kids are even interested in 30-year-old comics.
Yeah. Give it a read, kids. Some of those old comics are really good.
They're too busy playing their Call of Duties.
You damn kids and your iPods and your techno music and your... actually, I want to talk. I was
and
playing
your
it to it when we were
Xboxes
trying to
and
fix
your
this problem.
PlayStations and your fucking drugs.
So,
Don't do
would
drugs,
you like
kids.
to do your number 4 now?
Well, before I say that, I just want to say the good thing about New 52 is, one, Jason Todd gets his own series, and two, he gets to pal around with Starfire.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hottest chick in the DC universe.
The one thing I disagree with their issues 0 is I think Red Hood and the Outlaw should have had 3 different issues, 1 for each character. And I say the same thing for Teen Titans as well.
Actually, the New 52 Teen Titans isn't that great.
It's not?
No.
Oh.
It's not as good as the pre-52 Titans.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Yeah. It's one of the lower selling titles, unfortunately.
So,
my number 4, right?
Yes.
My number 4 would be this year's release of The Avengers. Now, this was a huge thing.
The comic or the movie?
The movie.
Okay.
Because, I mean, people have been waiting for this for, 50 years since the comic came out?
People have been waiting for a movie like this for a long time.
I mean, we've had inklings of a Justice League movie before this came out, even. And now they're actually developing a Justice League movie for 2015.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God! It's about time.
Chances are, though, it's I don't know how they're gonna take all of these characters that they haven't introduced in movies yet and introduce them in one movie.
Well, what I think would be something they could do is have the Justice League movie, and then from the fans' reaction, they can see which ones the fans want to see made into a movie. and they can go from there.
Well, actually, apparently, this is apparently a leaked rumor.
Okay.
But again, this is all just speculation at this point. DC and Warner Bros. Have confirmed nothing. But apparently, the villain for the Justice League movie will be Darkseid.
You mean Darkseid?
Whatever. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Darkseid.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Are you the fucking grammar police now?
When it comes to comic books, yes.
Shut up.
Especially DC.
Anyway, I mean, the Avengers, this is a big thing. Like, I mean, we have Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr. I mean, he's pretty much the only guy who could play Iron Man.
Yeah.
We have,
well, nowadays, anyways.
Yeah. We have Captain America, who's thankfully given a good portrayal on film, finally, by Chris Evans. We have Black Widow, who's played by the sexy Scarlett Johansson. I'm a man, I have balls, I have knees.
No, I completely agree with that. I just don't come out and say it on film.
I have no fucking shame, okay? You got Hawkeye, who was actually a pretty compelling character. What did you just mouth about
Nothing.
Hawkeye? You
Continue.
I'm gonna watch this later and figure out what you said, you bastard. We have fun, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5. No, wait. Okay, sorry. You got Thor, and you have the Hulk, and finally we have a good portrayal of the Hulk.
Yeah.
One that and CGI that actually looks
I like the
realistic.
70s version, but then again,
No,
I kind of like camp.
No,
so.
I'm saying like in the modern age, not the classic sense, because you know you can't beat Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. You can't. Lou Ferrigno actually did the voice of the Hulk in the Avengers.
I hold all judgmental comments until I've seen something better.
Okay, but actually, interesting tidbit: Lou Ferrigno actually did the voices for the Hulk in the Avengers movie.
Huh? Okay, I did not know that.
The reason is because he was never credited. I don't know. Neat little Easter egg that Marvel always throws in. But I mean, this was a huge thing. Like, this thing made $200 million in its opening weekend before it even came out in the U.S.
Yeah.
Or Canada. And like when I finally saw it on video, like I accidentally skipped in the theaters, even though it came out on my birthday this year, which I should have gone and saw with my buddies. But it just blew me away that this kind of movie actually exists in the comic book universe, and then we actually get to see these heroes come together and just kick a bunch of ass at the end. Like, the last 45 minutes looks like the kind of movie that Michael Bay would make if he wasn't a horny Neanderthal.
Yeah.
If you want to bash Michael Bay in the comments, go ahead.
We do not condone or encourage this. Just so that you know, the individuals may, TV pop culture does not. So, shall I move on to my number 3?
Go ahead.
Okay, my number 3 is Crisis on Infinite Earths. This storyline originally came into comic book history in 1985 and rewrit the entire DC continuity to the point where the multiverse vanished from existence and was compressed into all one singular history. And then there'd be Countdown, and then 52, and then Countdown to 52, and then Final Crisis and Infinite Crisis, and oh, who fucking cares? Just go read the books. This allowed DC Comics to rewrite and change a whole bunch of their old characters, like Power Girl, Huntress, Jason Todd. All these characters got rewritten and were given all new origin stories. And in my opinion, I think this happened for the best. And this was the first huge company-wide reboot, and was also made to celebrate DC's 50th anniversary. And is now able to be collected in trade paperback.
They've got a copy behind us, I think.
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there.
Oh.
Awesome. Maybe you should pick it up.
I already have mine.
Oh, okay. Then maybe I should pick it up after Christmas.
So,
it's a good read, people. Go read it.
Your number 2?
My number 2, my number 3, actually.
Oh, yes,
Yep.
sorry.
Now, this is way back in 2000 when I was just a wee little tyke and sitting in front of my Super Nintendo playing Super Mario World for the first time. When Marvel launched the Ultimate line of comics. Now, this was targeted at basically, well, not the 6-year-old demographic, but the younger demographic, like the 12 to, 18.
Okay.
This was basically Marvel's attempt to boost sales after the, events of the 90s. I'm not going to go there. That's discussion for another day.
Oh, Saga.
Yeah, that was a stupid move.
God,
But anyway,
I hate that shit.
They basically started the Ultimate line as a way to sort of reimagine their characters as more modern and realistic, and a bit more grounded in reality. Still keeping the kind of fantastical elements, but it's a bit more like this is how this would actually happen in the real world. And they started with Ultimate Spider-Man, which became a huge hit, started flying off the shelves, and they followed up with the Ultimate X-Men, and then finally the Ultimates came out in 2001, I believe, and they became like the ultimate version of the Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah. And interesting tidbit, the Chitauri, the villains in the Avengers movie, came from the Ultimates, the first issue of the first series of the Ultimates.
Okay.
So, yeah, and also the Black Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is from the Ultimate Universe. Even though now they've integrated him into regular Marvel Universe with Marvel Now, as Nick Fury's illegitimate son.
Okay.
That sounds like sitcom fodder from the 70s or something.
That reminds me of a Miss Marvel story, which we're not going to get into right now.
Is Marvel copying different strokes now?
Takes different strokes to rule the world. No?
Well, they're owned by Disney, so Disney will try to conquer the world someday.
Shall I move on to my number 2?
Go ahead.
All right. My number 2 is Jason Todd, and don't sit there and go, oh, of course he put Jason Todd. The reason why I put this is because Jason Todd was the first Robin who actually had a personality and wasn't yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir when it came to his relationship
And
with
no,
Batman.
holy Joker's Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
And wait, did he still wear the dumb green Speedo?
He did for a while.
Oh god.
Before Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, thank God he switched to pants.
Before Crisis on Infinite Earths, he was pretty much the carbon copy of Dick Grayson, and then after Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, he was no longer a kid from the circus. He was a street kid, and in fact, Batman meets him while he's trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile.
Right.
He smokes, he drinks, he talks back to Batman, he swears, and he may or may not have potentially killed a guy.
He's basically the badass Robin.
Yeah. With all this being said and done, you know, I think he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, because...
And I think that's probably part of the reason why what happened to him happened.
And we'll get to that in your number 1.
Yes, we will get to that later. But first off, you're number 2.
Basically the same thing as your number 3, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean...
Okay. So why did you put it at number 2?
Well, because... Like, aside from what I put as number 1, this was like a huge thing that early on in the comics industry, when it was still kind of young and kind of finding its footing, aside from the, 30s, 40s, 50s Macho Men, stuff. This is sort of when it just started to get grittier, and things the proverbial shit hit the fan, basically, with Crisis.
Okay.
The first one. I mean, we had never seen companies reboot their universes before this. And DC, basically back then, when they actually had a soul, they said, well, it's our 50th anniversary, and we're going to give the fans something that's just going to blow their minds. Like, we're going to go all out. This is going to be the be-all, end-all of our storylines. And then we're just going to start over from scratch.
Which lasted for 2 years.
Yeah. Suck it, fans.
This isn't Supergirl. What are you talking about? Who's Supergirl?
Actually, when I first came across Crisis on Infinite Earths, I was reading about the history of it in Wizard magazine back in 2005 during a lengthy hospital stay. We'll not get into that.
All right.
We'll be here for hours if we do, and I may start bawling my eyes out. Figuratively, of course. Anyway, there were a lot of moments I read about that shocked me, like the Flash killed himself by running too fast.
Well, he did it to save everyone else.
Well, yeah, I knew that. But.
And, in fact, when it comes to Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's usually the only death that everyone remembers. A lot of people forget that Supergirl died saving Superman.
And she was on the frickin' cover, being held in Superman's arms while he cried.
Exactly.
Like a sissy man.
And actually, because of that, Earth 2's Wonder Woman got killed.
And we also had we saw briefly the Dark Justice League in Crisis. Like the evil counterparts of the...
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet, did they do that storyline before Crisis, or was that a whole new thing they invented for Crisis?
No, I believe that was before Crisis.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, because there was a Justice Society comic where our version of Superman and Green Lantern and Batman and all of them went over to Earth 5's
Yeah.
version, or whichever Earth it is.
Yeah. There's too many Earths
And
in
actually
DC
made a
universe.
pretty good animated movie.
Yeah.
They had to change a lot of the looks though, and I'm glad they did. Because I mean, Superman with shoulder pads?
Yeah.
No. So, shall I move on to number 1?
You go ahead.
Alright, my number 1 is
It's the big one.
A Death in the Family. This was the
Oh.
first time, for many things, the first time Robin got killed, the first time fans were allowed to vote for it, the first time a brutal death like this was shown because Joker beat him to death with a crowbar and then blew up a building on top of him.
Was there blood?
Yes, they actually showed blood, and this was around the period where comics were starting to get a bit darker. They were starting to get a bit more violent, and people were noticing this.
Yeah, and parents were complaining because their children were losing their stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why they couldn't use the word death in the...
Yes, they actually had to... The phone company would not allow them to use death. So what happened is, you phone one number, he survived. You phoned another number, he didn't survive.
And then there's that conspiracy theory that the votes were rigged.
Yes, for those of you who are very into comics, especially DC...
or just the conspiracy theories in general.
Yeah, there is a conspiracy theory that a lawyer in California used his Mac to rig the telephone lines so that it would keep calling the negative number repetitively. Whether or not this actually happened, no one really knows.
DC said that they didn't even know that this sort of thing could have happened.
Yeah.
Basically, they weren't in charge of the phone.
Yeah, it was in their name.
But the phone company was running it.
Exactly.
So if anything got rigged, it's the phone company's fault.
Exactly. So, I mean, who knows? For all we know, Jason Todd should have lived.
Yeah.
I do think that Jason Todd dying is a better ending.
Yeah.
Because to have a hero survive another battle is just another month in comics.
Yeah.
And if Jason Todd hadn't died, we may not have the Red Hood character now.
Yeah.
So, and actually, Countdown to 52 touched base on that, which I rather liked. But anyways, you're number 1.
Alright. So, as you said, in the 80s, comics were starting to get a bit darker and a bit more violent. This is when it really just came into being. Like, comics became adults. With a lot of the titles that were published after the founding of Image Comics, who I'm sure many of you know today is the company who just does Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But before that, they actually made a lot of great superhero and other comics. They were founded by a group of creators who left the big companies, Marvel, DC, whatever, because they were fed up that they wanted to introduce their own characters and stuff, but Marvel wanted, and DC wanted complete corporate control over the licenses and stuff.
Okay.
But Todd McFarlane, who was working at Marvel on Spider-Man, Jim Lee, I think he was at DC, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, right. They basically just said, "Fuck you. We're tired of your shit. We're leaving." And he said, "Oh, go do whatever you want. You'll never be as successful as us." Well, guess what?
Yeah. Proved you guys wrong.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as Image published huge titles that became mega hits like Spawn, Savage Dragon, Youngblood, short-lived Wildcats, which got a TV show and a video game.
Like people like Jim Lee do still do work for DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're preoccupied with their own. And here's the thing about Image Comics that really changed the playing field. They basically said the company only has publishing rights. The creators own the rights to the characters themselves and all the merchandising we can ever do with them. Which is why Todd McFarlane set up his own toy division to create Spawn toys.
Okay.
So basically, this paved the way for more creators' rights and creator-owned comics to start their own line, like Marvel and DC as well. Because I guess the big companies realize that, oh, if we don't start giving creators ownership of some of their characters, we're fucked.
Exactly, because they can just turn around and go to Image.
Or they'll jump ship and start their own studio.
Yep.
And also this ties in with the 1980s creation of the Bill of Comic Creators' Rights, which was spearheaded by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this was, I mean, like, if we didn't have those two events in comics today, we probably wouldn't have, you know, there wouldn't be a chance for anybody to really get their own
Oh, yeah, definitely.
stuff out there unless it was, like, underground and, like, sold in secret.
55.
Yeah.
And I mean, by the time, hopefully by the end of next year, I'm gonna start publishing my own comic book.
Hey, kid.
Just all the.
Wanna buy some comic books?
Want to buy some comic books about
They were
Demon
talking with
Slayers?
him, that's
It's
what
rated
he,
16 plus, but
wants
just
to
because you're
buy.
8 doesn't mean I won't sell it to you.
He does. Yes, he does
yeah.
So, anyways, before we leave you guys, just to let you know, we will be temporarily going off the air
Because
from
it's Christmas.
this date until January 5th or 6th, depending on what the schedule is for Hen City Comics. That does not mean that videos will not be going up in between now and then, mainly because they're backlogged. I may be doing some independent recording for a show that will be filling in the void that Nerd Culture Radio has left, called Nerd Culture Radio Viewer Discussion. Topics that you guys want to hear, you can leave suggestions on the Nerd Culture Radio or TV Pop Culture Facebook page.
I unfortunately will not be doing anything on my own.
Yes, and if this does become permanent, we may even give it its own channel, and it may not just be me doing these. If Noah decides that he wants to do one, or if Chuck decides he wants to do one, or whoever,
Sam.
yeah, they'll of course be allowed to do an episode. It will only be one person doing it. For those who may not know exactly what we're doing, if you head over to Escape and look at the big picture, it'll look similar to that format, but not so similar that it looks like we're just ripping them off. Again, please keep in mind that these kind of shows have been around for a while, and this is not the first. It definitely won't be the last.
Ever since people figure out how to put videos on the internet, basically.
Yeah. So, I guess until next year, my name's CJ.
Don't worry, I'm Noah, and don't worry, the world will not end on Friday.
Yeah.
But if it does, I'll see you in hell from heaven. Or who knows.
So, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Luis Navidad, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you're celebrating. Or if
Yeah.
you just want to sit at home and get drunk off eggnog, that's cool.
So,
Only if you're of age, though.
yeah, don't drink if you're underage.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see you guys next time.
See you in 2013, folks.
Bye.
Bye.